There's no such thing as time heals all wounds, because that's a wound that time can't keep it. It can be happiness if you choose to make it. It's just words. This is one of my soft. This is real human emotion. Somebody out there might be feeling the same way that I'm feeling right now. And this is helping me. This is my therapy right now. This is my therapy session. If you don't say that person's name, then they die twice. My brother Donnell, I always try to say his name, Lorenzo Donnell Marshall. I'd like to welcome everybody to another edition of Coach Rodo's Regardless podcast. Today is going to be, this one is going to be about, let's talk about loss. So about 13 years ago, I lost my best friend. My brother. Me and him, we share the same father. We met each other when we were 7 years old. That's when I found out I had a brother on my father's side. That's my mom was a child. And, we were inseparable from there. We went to the Marine Corps together. We fought each other. We did everything that brothers do. We were inseparable. And unfortunately, he passed away 13 years ago. And that was tough on him. Still tough on him. And I remember, when I was at his funeral, and, I'm in there listening to preachers and pastors. It just incensed me, listening to them. Just, he's in a better place. He's, he's doing better. He's, and I know that's what they're supposed to tell you, and this, that, and the third. But, I couldn't help myself when I got up there to talk. I couldn't help myself but to tell him that, that's bullshit to me, because what's a better place than being with your children, being with your brothers, your sister, your mom, father. I couldn't fathom that. Still to this day can't fathom that, because, I think about it heavily. And the one thing another thing that also upset me was hearing people say that, you'll get over it. And 13 years and I still haven't gotten over it. And I suspect that there's people out there who lost a loved one that's feeling the same way. I had a friend of mine who about 4 or 5 years ago called me and lost his sister, and they were close like me and my brother. And my buddy Corey Cunningham, and he said, Rodo, man, you are the only person that I know who lost somebody who was a sibling that was as close to him as my sister is to me. How do you deal with it? I said, well, first thing they're going to tell you is, you'll get over it. And everybody grieves differently. That's the one thing you can't do. You can never tell somebody how to fucking grieve. And that's what I feel that they always try to do with statements that they make. And I told him, I said, one thing they're going to tell you is you'll get over it with time. Nah, you don't. I told him that flat out. I said, you don't get over it with time. You just learn how to live with it. Because that's a pain that'll never go away for somebody that you truly love. And, he asked me, does it ever go away? I said, no, I don't go away. I said, you have better days, but then there'll be something that you'll be doing and remind you of them. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself back in that hole. But that's part of life. That's part of grief. I watched The Equalizer, and one of my favorite verses, or one of my favorite sayings that my man said, and I think it was The Equalizer 2, he said that if you don't say that person's name, then they die twice. My brother Donnell, I always try to say his name, Lorenzo Donnell Marshall. And I feel that way because it meant to me that if I don't say his name, he dies twice, then that means that I forgot about him. And I never wanted that to be the case. And I never wanted to be the case because, again, that was the love of my life. You know, my wife, of course, but my brother was my first true love. Uh, and when that went away, it was tough for me. And it's still tough for me. And again, me and my boy Corey was talking, and I shared a little bit of my advice to him, or you know, which was, try and always say her name. Try and think of all the good things that y'all did. There's gonna be things that's gonna remind you of things that y'all did. Don't try to forget them. Don't try to put them on your mind. Accept them, understand them. Grieve. It's okay to grieve because if you love them, you'll never stop grieving. You know. Again, I told him, nobody, they'll tell you to get over it, but you'll never fucking get over it. You'll never get over it. Again, you just try to learn to live with it. My producer's father, we were talking in the steam room one day, and he was at the funeral because everybody knew my brother. They all know my brother. So we were sitting in the steam room one day, we were talking. That's when I realized that what I said was real because he said to me, and he's a pastor. He was like, when you got up there and at your brother's funeral and you said, you don't believe that he's in a better place. And you will never believe that he's in a better place because you believe that that better place is here with you and his son and his daughters, his wife, and all of that. He said, man, that was probably one of the most realist things. This is from a pastor, and I'm pretty much talking against what he teaches. Told me that was one of the realest things that he had heard because it was a true human emotion. And we all know in funerals, there's a lot of fake human emotion. He said that was one of the realest and most profound things that he had ever heard because it was again how I was really feeling, and I'm always been known to be one to speak how I'm feeling. And he said that he knew that I really felt that way, and he told me it was okay to feel that way. And that's when to hear it from somebody who is taught to teach you that death is better than living. For him to tell me that what I said was okay made me know that I will grieve my brother in the right way. I will grieve for my brother in the right way because I understand that it's not that I understand this. I feel that he should still be here. He shouldn't have been taken away from me. He was a great guy. It's one of those feelings of, well, I mean, I'm a worse person than him. When you say the religious part of it, and you know uh, things of that sort, but I couldn't understand it, couldn't fathom it. Just like my buddy Corey couldn't understand it, couldn't fathom it. And he's a big church guy. The only thing that I could think of was "Only the Good Die Young." That song. That's the because he was a real good dude. He was the best of both of us, hands down, the best of both of us. And when you lose somebody close to you, it's almost as if you lose a piece of you. So what you have to do is you have to find things to not replace that piece, but to add to that piece, so that that piece doesn't become so hurtful in your life that it's detrimental. I had a mentor of mine who passed away, and he was a twin. Shortly thereafter, his twin brother passed away because he just died of a broken heart. Couldn't be without his brother. Uh, that was sad, and I understood it because that's how I felt. I tell you, when my brother passed, that's how I felt. But however, I had those pieces of. I had my children. I had his children. To because not now, that dad that they had that was in their life is gone. So what's left is, what's the next closest male to him, which is me. Now I become uncle and father at the same time, in which I have no problem with. I love it because, both his twin girls and, his oldest son. Now he has a son, and then, his youngest son just went to homecoming court and, he's going home, good swimmer and going to college to swim, and, you know, and I love to, hear about it, see about it, be here. And, you know, it helps me grieve to, do things. So to do things for his kids, do things that I know he would do for his kids, do things that I know he would do for my kids if the shoe was on the other foot. Uh, you know, when you lose somebody that you love and you're close to, it's very important that, you don't move on, but you go on, you carry it, you move not forward, but move ahead. And what I mean by that is, to me, when you say you move forward, that means you forget. But if I move ahead, that means that it's still there, but I'm climbing the mountain slowly but steadily. You know, um, I talk to a lot of my friends who lose people about these types of feelings, and it's been on my heart for about 2 weeks because we about 2.5 weeks ago we lost a really good friend that was like cousin to us to a bee sting, and that brought back a lot of memories, and the type of person that he was, and the amount of people that grieved it, and of course when somebody passes away that it brings back memories, and it I had to suppress those memories of my brother because it wasn't about my brother at that time. It was the loss of he was a really, really good friend. And it also brought pain. But I had to talk to others, including his brother, who asked me about my brother. Again, how do you deal with it? So, and even for my friend, I also had to be strong and able to tell my friend how I deal with the loss of Lorenzo Donnell Marshall, my brother. You know, and I told him what I say. Hey, say his name every day, once a week. Just always keep him alive. I told him about the little. You don't say his name, he dies twice. So it's okay to feel that what you hear about him being. It's okay to feel that they're wrong. And he told me that he did feel that at one because he said, when I told him about it, he said, I feel the same way. I said, I know you do. I said, because we're taught that when someone dies, they go heaven or hell, but either way, or if they were a good person, they're going to heaven and they're in a better place. But we don't know that because we're dealing with the physical. And right now our pain is in the physical. And we don't want to hear that they're in a better place because they're not with us. And for him to hear from me, who also lost a brother, how I internalized, his death kind of helped him and it made me feel better. Because again, it's been 13 years, man. My wife tell you, I bawl like a little baby, like probably once a week still. Cause it's tough, man. Because again, I got a big ass picture of him in my room, my TV area, which I never leave. So he's always right there, but I got to keep it there so that I can always see him. His beautiful smile. I could always see that. And believe it or not, when I have a bad day or whatever, that kind of does help me a little bit. Not a little bit, it helped me a lot because I was just something about Donnell that just, he never had a bad day, it seemed like. Because he was always smiling. He was always happy, no matter his situation. And, I try so much to emulate and be like him in that aspect of there's nothing in a day that can be bad enough to make you not want to be here. And, there's nothing in the day that's bad enough to not make you want to smile. You can always find something to smile about every day. And this dude's always smiling, man. And, I grieve for that. I grieve that I don't get to see that anymore. I grieve that I don't get to hear him laugh. I grieve that I don't get to hear some of the new slang that he teaches me because, again, we were, I have brothers, so he moved to Battle Creek to live with his mom. And I lived with with our pops, and he would come back on some weekends and be like, "I hear the new slang word," because I until I got older, it was kind of like you can't go no, you got to stay on our street and this, that, and the third. And I lived in a neighborhood where there wasn't no thugs, so I didn't learn much slang at a very very young age when I left my mom. When I left my mom, so I would say from 8 to about 13, I was like, the only thing I learned was in school was from my brother when he come down from Battle Creek because, he was in the hood. So he knew all the slang words. So he would come back, he taught me, what up, dope? That's a Detroit thing, bro. That's what we say. There's a few of them. I can't remember them right offhand, but, what up, dope? I know he brought to me. And it was just funny. So, it was, you could see how we became the best friends. I couldn't wait for him to come down on the weekend. I couldn't wait to go. My pops was in Battle Creek, so I couldn't wait to go there on the weekends. So when you're grieving, you try to think about things like that. I'm just giving you examples of things that helped me. Things that helped me with my grievance for 13 years. And it's okay. It's okay to cry, man. It's okay to lose it. It's okay to feel bad about not having somebody that you love here anymore. It is not a bad thing. There's no such thing as time heals all wounds because that's a wound that time can't heal. Um, and that's okay. I had to learn that. I had to learn that it's okay to, cry. I mean, my son saw me cry a lot. I think that really, see, when they was kids, the strongest person that they was in their life, which was me, cried. It let them know that it was okay to be vulnerable in some situations. And I think that some people need to hear this. You know, it's all right, man. I mean, grief is a part of life. And if you love someone, you're not grieving because they're dead. You're grieving because you're so happy that you got to spend the time that you got to spend it. You're so happy that when you think about them, all you think about is all the good memories. You're so happy that there are things that happen in life in a regular day situation that, you know, reminds you of them. I mean, not all grief is bad. Uh, and we got to stop treating it like that. If you love somebody or and they mean that much to you, it's okay. Let that shit out, man. I needed to do this one because I've been feeling shitty for about 3 weeks, man. I needed I needed somebody to talk to. Talking to y'all because somebody out there might be feeling the same way that I'm feeling right now. And this is helping me. This is my therapy. Right? This is my therapy session. Right? Maybe this will be your therapy session. And it's okay. You know, it's okay to love somebody so much that you cried whenever you think about it. And again, grief ain't always bad. It's not always because they're dead or they're not around. It can be because you're just so happy, thought of them. And that's how I am. Because again, he was the best out of both of us. He was my best friend, my teacher, and the thing about it, we only 8 weeks apart. His birthday is October. Not even that. Shit, 4. Yeah, his birthday is October 19th, which is coming up, and mine is November 8th. So it's that pops was a Rolling Stone type of deal, and for us to meet each other and become the way that we were, and feel about each other the way that I do still to this day, is it was incredible, man. It still is incredible. I go to his grave and see him because he was a Marine just like me. We joined at the same time. He went in on the buddy system. I tricked him into coming in with me. He didn't regret it, but it was funny because it was a last minute thing for him because he was going to go to college. He's like, fuck it. We were, like I said, my best friend. We met each other at 7 and was in fucking inseparable until he passed. Boot camp together. We got out of the Marine Corps. We moved to the same city as each other. Sometimes we worked at the same place, even after we were grown ups. So, that just tells you the type of relationship he and I had. And I'm sure that someone else out here who's grieving and lost somebody. I know my buddy Corey Cunningham tells me about his sister and like that. I know about my boy Mike Mish and his brother Mark. So when you think of your grief, try to think of it as sometimes being positive. When you're having a bad day, when you think about it, it's gonna be terrible. So you're gonna just feel pain to grief. But try and put that around and think of the happiness in grief. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but again, you know, it can be happiness if you choose to make it. It's just words, you know, and human emotion sometimes don't have words. And if I have any advice to give to you, it would be, you know, have a good fucking cry. Just let it all out. You'll feel better. Um, think about that person and you do say their name out loud. Don't let them die twice. And always remember that it's okay to feel that they would be better off with you because I feel that I would be better off with him if he was here. And I'm all right. But I think I would be better if he was here because, again, he was the best of both of us. I just wanted this one to be a little short one, just to again, maybe somebody need to hear it. I just want to do my own little therapy session. Every once in a while we need them. I know, sometimes I come off a little bit rough and a little bit hard. You know, uh, this is one of my soft. This is real human emotion. Just I want my listeners to know that when I tell them shit, I'm for real. I'm not one of these for the mic type person, and I have real feelings, and I'm real about my shit. I'm real about this shit. I'm real about my feelings, whether I'm hurting or not. And somebody out there might need to hear it. This might be their therapy as well. So, I hope you enjoyed our little conversation, my therapy session. I really appreciate y'all listening to my therapy session. And, hopefully you'll have your own if you suffer a terrible loss. Thank you for listening to Coach Rodo's podcast, Morning Regardless. You can listen to me wherever you find your podcast.